Shalom. Call halal Yahweh Bashim Shai Bahashim Rakaha Kodash. Double honors unto the apostles, double honors unto the elder bishops. Salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so, now more so than ever. To the scattered elect that are scattered around the four corners of the earth, that be like unto the speckled bird, the Israelite foreigners among the heathens, that look like the heathens. And to the Akwath that are listening and learning, to you, I say Shalom. This is your brother Malcolm from the branch of the Great Millstone, coming at you another lesson in truth. And this is a book that was came in the last cachet. And it's a very small book. It was written in 1939. I'm going to show all the evidence. This is by F.E.Rogers, all right? And this book, when you Google it, you can't find it. Everything, all kind of and see, and I'll show you the copyright. Okay. First printing, January 1939, copyright. January 1939 by F.E.Rogers. You cannot, when you Google this, it does not pop up. Or maybe if it did, it's way, way down on the list because it just wouldn't pop up by name. So I'm going to, because I was going to put it on the screen and then read, proving its authenticity, that it wasn't just something that I wrote. But we're going to read some of it through the lens of the camera. All right. And it reads here, and you can, suggest all this. Yeah, and that's exactly what I wanted to read, what I underlined. But it says, who are the Jews? A lecture on a very absorbing subject dealt with entirely on biblical and historical facts, something that they don't like to do. All right, because they go into these other books, and what's the Sennacherib, which I believe is a part of the Talmud, which is down there below. It says took 20,000 people to the. This is off screen. I'm just reading this. And I'll show it. But it said it took 20,000 people into the kingdom of Judah into the Assyria. No, the northern kingdom went into the Assyrian captivity. The Judah went into the Babylonian captivity, the house of Judah. But let's continue. It says, I'll just start it again. A lecture of a very absorbing subject dealt with entirely on biblical and historical facts. Here is the answer to the question uppermost in the public mind. A subject that has never been dealt with before by any lecturer, minister, preacher, evangelist, either in Canada or the United States. With the rantings and ravings on the radio commentators regarding the present Jewish situation in Germany, and with the admonitions of hatred toward Hitler being advocated by both Catholic and Protestant ministers throughout the country, perhaps a little enlightenment on this absorbing subject should be in order of this time. Who are the Jews? With a question mark. Let us delve into the record, the Bible, to find the answer to this question, right? Because truthfully said, the Bible is all you need to determine who the Israelites are, all right? Who they are. And remember, the letter J didn't exist. It's a newly created letter. It's a social construct, just like the whole black and white thing. Black is a social construct. White is a social construct. Those things didn't exist in the Bible. The Lord didn't create a nation of white. He didn't create a nation of black. But yet those are used as terms to identify race classes in their false narratives. Okay? But it says, in most writings on prophecy, the Jews usually occupy the stage for the authors, yet do not realize that the Jews do not represent the house of Israel. In fact, it is a question whether they are even present in the house of Judah. For Paul speaks of the Jews as being separate from the 12 tribes, Acts 26:7. Now, you got to remember, you had converts, the Edomites who converted to Judaism or or let me reword that, or convert it to following the ways of the Bible, revert it to, or convert it to following the ways of the law, statutes, and commandments under the rule of John Hyrcanus. And that letter J didn't exist. They weren't being called that, Whatever they were being called, they weren't being called that. All right, but let's read this Acts 26:7. I'm going to read it first in the NIV, and it reads, and now it is because of my hope and what God had promised our fathers that I am on trial. This is the promise our 12 tribes, all right, are hoping to see fulfilled as they earnestly serve God day and night. All right, now let's read it in the King James. Acts 26:6 and 7. And it reads, and now I stand and I am judged for the hope of the promise made of God unto our fathers, personal pronouns, unto which promise our 12 tribes, instantly serving God day and night, hope to come, for which hope God's sakes, King Agrippa, I am accused of the Jews. All right. So what he's saying right here, when you reading this right here, he's making a clear separation between people calling themselves Jews and the 12 tribes. All right. And one thing we know for sure is that even though the word Jew there is written, Paul never referred to himself as a Jew. He may have referred to himself as Judean, right? Because he even told you that he was a Benjamite. And what was that now? I think that's Acts 11 or Romans 11. When he says he's from the, let me run to that real quick. And he says he's a Benjamite from the tribe of, because people will tell, well, Paul was a Jew. Paul was not a Jew at all. He wasn't from the tribe of Judah. He was a part of the kingdom of Judah, but he wasn't from the tribe of Judah. All right. So basically, what in a nutshell, what Paul is letting you know right there is that there still were 12 tribes. So here we go. It says Romans 11:1, and it reads, I say then, have God cast away his people? And who is his people? The Israelites, all 12 tribes. All right. For I also am an Israelite of the seed of Abraham of the tribe of Benjamin. So he's letting you know that the tribes are still relevant. Okay? Are still relevant. So let's go to this top right here, because we're just going to, keep going in this book until the Spirit moves it off of me. All right, but this is page 2. All right. And this was, when I read it, I was like, whoa, this is heavy. And it says, who are the Jews and what is their destiny? I'm interested to, when I get to the end, because it's a very small and short book, I'm interested to see what the author had to say, what the author has to say. I'm wondering if he actually identifies them as Edom, or if he's going to call them Japhet or whatever. But I'm just interested to see where it goes. But it says, one of the 7 wonders of the modern age is the way that the Jews have posed as God's chosen people, which I agree with that. All right. All you have to do is start reading and you can clearly see that. And I have been able to Salakia. One of the 7 wonders of the modern age is the way that the Jews have posed as God's chosen people and have been able to hand this propaganda out to the people of all nations so that they actually believe it. While as a matter of fact, there is not one single verse in the entire scripture from cover to cover that even indicates such a thing. All Jews are Israelites, but all Israelites are not Jews. By any means, for this instance, there are many Irishmen who are American, but not all American are Irishmen. Ooh, wow. It said, yet how many times, dear reader, have you heard some of the most learned doctors of divinity state, and I've heard, Vocab Malone and Dr. Brown and people like them say things like this. It says, learned doctors of divinity state that Moses and Abraham were Jews. All right. If that were true, if Abraham were a Jew, then all the descendants of Ishmael, known today as the Arabs, must also be Jews, and that will be correct. And so, that would be absolutely correct because Abraham had 8 sons, but only Isaac was counted as a promise, just like the scripture says. And they still read that and try to rearrange it to say something that it doesn't say at all. That's in I believe Galatians 4 and Galatians 3 and 4. All right. But it says, and I'll probably read that and then we'll, get ready for the next lesson. But it says, your own common sense would tell you that this is not the case, because he's exactly right. Okay, he's exactly right. As a matter of fact, let me read that again to let it sink in. It says, yet how many times, dear reader, have you heard some of the most learned doctors of divinity? Remember, the word doctor means to falsify. Matter of fact, let's get that. Because all this thing about who the Jews, who the Israelites are, all right, it's all politically motivated. It's not really based in a lot of truth. But this is Job 13 and 4. But ye are forgers of lies. Ye are all physicians of no value. All right. So that so these doctors, they lie. What do? They doctor up the truth. That's what that word doctor goes back to. But it says, how many learned doctors of divinity state that Moses and Abraham were Jews? If this were true, Abraham was a Jew, then all the descendants of Ishmael, known today as the Arabs, must also be Jews. All right. Your own common sense will tell you that this is not the case. So you also have to remember, if Abraham was a Jew, that would make all the other descendants of Shem Jews as well. That because and that's clearly not the case. One thing that they all have in common, though, is that they were all Hebrew, but there was only one chosen Hebrew nation. All right. Because you got to think all those nations that came out of there. What made Abraham? It says Abraham. It tells you that Abram was the Hebrew. All right. So that will make all his brethren, his brothers, his father, his uncles. They would all be Hebrew as well. All right. It says Abram the Hebrew. I think that's Galatians 3 and 16. I mean, not Galatians, but Genesis, if I'm not mistaken. Let me find that real quick. Stop trying to not just spitting out scriptures. Let me find it. I'm pretty sure it's in Genesis. Genesis 14:13. And there came one that escaped and told Abram the Hebrew, for he dwelt in the plain of Mamre, the Amorite, brother of Eshcol, the brother of Anar, and there were confederate with, and these were confederate with Abram. All right, so Abram, before identify Abram, whose name was changed to Abraham, because he was the father of many nations, meaning the 12 tribes. Each tribe is a nation, and they don't, they try to make it as if you're a believer. Now you're the seed of Abraham, and that's ludicrous. All right, I'm rewatching Game of Thrones, and you just because you believe or follow the house of Targaryen didn't make you a Targaryen or a Stark or a Lannister. But yet, when it comes to the Bible, this is sort of a foolishness that they commit, that they do. All right, just pushing forth lies. So there was something that I was looking for. that I want. It was another scripture that I mentioned that. Oh yeah, the Galatians with Abraham. We'll end it with that until we, then I'm gonna read some more, because I'm thoroughly enjoying this book right now. And I got to be careful how I name this too, because I haven't said any derogatory terms about anyone, but you speak some truth, and all of a sudden you're a hater. You're speaking hate when you speak the truth. Yeah, here we go. This is Galatians 3:16. All right. It says, "There is neither Greek nor Jew, there is neither bond nor free, there is neither male nor female, for ye are all one in Hamashiach. And if ye be in Hamashiach, then ye are Abraham's seed and heirs according to the promise." So they'll read that and make that everyone. Okay. But when you read up, it talks about a mediator, and Yahweh Shai is the only mediator. All right, and he was a mediator to who? Not to all the people. He was a mediator to what? To the Israelites. He was a mediator to his own people. All right. All right, and then here's another one. And a matter of fact, we're gonna start in the very next paragraph and read. We're gonna go thoroughly through this book. I don't think I'm gonna jump around. We're gonna go through it, but here, in Acts, it gives you a little bit more understanding on who the Lord was talking about when he said there's no difference between Greek nor Jew. Hence the reason why Christianity, the Bible Destruction Group, removed the Apocrypha and removed the history of the Hellenization of the Jews and how they were Hellenized into Greeks. All right, and so you don't get the understanding that those were Greek-speaking Jews. That that many of the or Israelites, Judeans, all right, the Hellenization of the Judeans. And let me say that and stop even using that word, that JEW word, because that's a made-up word. That's like I said, that's like saying black or white. Those are social constructs that were created, to control the mindset of the people. A lot of this heavy witchcraft, to be honest with you. But I think it's 20 and 21, Acts 2 and 21. Yeah, Acts 2 and 21, and it reads, "And it shall come to pass that whosoever shall call on the name of the Lord shall be saved. Ye men of Israel, hear these words." All right. Yahweh Shai of Nazareth, a man proven of God among you, by miracles and wonders and signs, which God did by him in the midst of you, as ye yourselves know. So he wasn't doing miracles in the midst of the strange nations. Those Gentiles were the Israelite foreigners, the Greek speaking, Israelites, Judeans. And this very important fact was left out of the teachings of these learned doctors of divinities, the same one that said that Moses and Abraham were Jews. And there's many, and you hear that and read that a lot. And that's completely and totally not true. All right, you'll read these old books, and before the nation of Israel was even, it'll refer to Isaac as a Jew as well. All right, and that word Jew comes from the word Judah, which is one tribe, which is the fourth son of Jacob. All right, so how you gonna call the whole nation after one tribe, which and you're gonna call the forefathers after his name? Judah was the fourth son. Jacob and Isaac and Abraham came before him. So it's just complete madness and confusion. But with that, I hope this was an edifying or eye-opening lesson. And Yahweh Ratazah, see you in the next lesson. Shalom.